I'm 26 years old and male. My girlfriend, now ex, is 25. We dated for a year. I'll call her Cindy. When Cindy and I started dating, she told me she had a male best friend, Greg. For the record, I fully believe that a man and a woman can have a completely platonic and mutually rewarding friendship without her ever acting inappropriately. About 6 months after we started dating, Cindy finally introduced me to Greg. We went to a restaurant to get some drinks and food. I liked Cindy, so I was naturally excited to meet her best friend. When we showed up at the restaurant, immediately after shaking my hand, Greg compared his height to mine. I'm 5'9", he's something like 6'2". He did that thing that elementary school students do, putting their palm on the top of their head and moving it out in a straight line. He was demonstrating that he was much taller than me. I chuckled, thinking it was just in line with his personality, and Cindy got a laugh out of it too. Over dinner, Greg contradicted me on virtually everything I said. He was relentless. I'd talk about something for about 30 seconds, and he'd move his head to the side and say, "Well," and then explain how I was wrong. Cindy seemed to be having a good time though, so I sucked it up. What bothered me most was how he looked at Cindy. She must be the most obtuse person in the world not to notice it. When she bent over to pick up her bag after dinner, he checked out her butt too. On the Uber ride home, Cindy and I argued about Greg. I said that I was uncomfortable with her being friends with him. I then elaborated on everything, how he kept trying to one-up me, that he checked out her butt and how he looked at her. She said I was being dramatic. The argument turned kinda nasty, and about a block away from our apartment, Cindy decided to get out. In the unlikely event that our Uber driver is reading this, sorry man, I didn't want to make things awkward for you. Cindy and I fought. We made up, and I thought I'd convinced her that Greg was bad news. She agreed to distance herself from him. Well, last night I learned that she hadn't. Cindy called me at 11 o'clock or so, clearly distraught, saying she needed a ride home. I asked what had happened, and she said, "Don't be mad, but Greg tried to kiss me." I was admittedly annoyed, but to summarize: 1. Greg invited her over to his place for drinks. 2. Greg got her to drink a lot. 3. Greg went in for a kiss. 4. Cindy dodged him and left. 5. Greg first followed her until she screamed at him, drawing the attention of his neighbors. Cindy was super intoxicated, and so after picking her up, I decided to talk about it with her in the morning. I organized my talking points in advance, but simply after she woke up, I told her that she betrayed my trust by meeting Greg. I told her that he was a creep and that our relationship was over. Cindy is now calling me a victim blamer. She's upset that I broke up with her when she was sick. See hungover. Am I really the idiot for telling my girlfriend, "I told you so," and then dumping her over her male best friend? Not the idiot, let's be honest. You didn't break up with her because she almost got assaulted. You broke up with her because she told you that she'd keep her distance from Greg, but not only did she keep in contact with him, but she decided to hang out alone and drink with him. So that's lying, manipulation, and idiotic, which are added to the list of red flags. I'm sure Greg knew that she was supposed to be distancing from him for you. That encouraged him, sent him the signals that he was more important to her than you. She actually sent that signal to you both. Whether or not she meant to send that signal is not on you, it's on her. Just like how girls can notice other girls' intentions, we guys notice it too. She broke your trust and didn't respect your boundaries. Good riddance, to be honest. Yeah, a woman knows when a man is interested. The girlfriend didn't introduce her best friend until 6 months later. What the heck? It took her young grammar schooler months to work up the courage to try to gaslight the boyfriend because she was afraid he would see right through her. She liked the attention she was getting from her male best friend and wanted to keep the boyfriend too. She knew exactly what she was doing, stringing 2 guys along, wanting her cake and eating it too. Now she wants to play victim, knowing full well her best friend's intentions. Late night drinking at the best friend's house, knowing the situation? Come on. To OP, be grateful you're getting out before the relationship gets any further. Consider it a blessing. A few weeks ago, I hosted a little get-together at my apartment. Nothing wild, just some drinks, music, and a few friends hanging out. The night was going great until my friend Kayla, 23 female, had an unfortunate accident. She had a little too much to drink, and at one point she tripped over absolutely nothing and went face first into my glass coffee table. It didn't shatter, but she smacked her forehead so hard that she ended up with a huge bruise and a mild concussion. We took care of her and got her some ice, and she laughed it off once she sobered up. But ever since then, she's been obsessed with the idea that my coffee table is cursed. She swears she didn't just trip, she says she felt something push her. like a force yanked her forward, guiding her straight into the glass. At first, I thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. She keeps saying the table has bad energy and that it's trying to hurt people. She even went as far as to test it by making our friend Ryan stand near it while she tried to feel if there was a weird vibe coming off it. Ryan said it just felt like a normal table. But now Kayla refuses to come over unless I get rid of it. She says I'm inviting bad luck into my home by keeping it and that my apartment will never have peace as long as it's there. The thing is, I love this coffee table. It was expensive. It matches my decor perfectly, and aside from Kayla's self-inflicted head injury, it's never done anything remotely dangerous. I told her I was not throwing away my furniture over one intoxicated accident, and she got offended. She said I was invalidating her experience and that I was choosing a table over a friend. I told her she was being ridiculous, and now she's barely speaking to me. A few mutual friends think I should just sell it to keep the peace, but I feel this is a stupid hill to die on. It's a piece of furniture, not a demon. Am I the idiot for refusing to get rid of my cursed coffee table? Not the idiot. Your coffee table isn't cursed. Kayla just had too many drinks. If we got rid of everything we tripped over while intoxicated, we'd all be living in empty rooms. She'll get over it eventually. By the way, keeping the peace usually means giving in to unreasonable demands from unreasonable people. If anything, it was good luck that the coffee table didn't break. I mean, does she wish it did break only for shards of glass to be smashed into her skull? Your friend is being ridiculous, and you're right. It's not a hill worth dying on. It was an intoxicated mistake that must have led to one heck of a hangover, and there's genuinely no way I'd sell a coffee table I love because my intoxicated friend fought gravity and lost. Like what? Keep the table and get rid of the friendship. My husband, 43, and I, 37 female, have been together for 5 years. I have a child, a tween male from a previous relationship who lives with us. I'm currently pregnant. This pregnancy had been discussed, planned and desired for a while, or so I thought. For the past few weeks, my husband's behaviour has become unbearable. At best, he doesn't speak to me. At worst, he only opens his mouth to criticise, berate or lecture me. He's always had a temper and could be a pain in the butt once in a while, but he had always acknowledged this flaw and asked for forgiveness when he'd been out of line. But now it's been 24/7 and he doesn't seem to care. He says he can't help it because he's unhappy with this life. He works too much, spends all of his money on our home, and doesn't have time for hobbies and social outings. He resents me for having a much more balanced lifestyle. I feel for him, but I can't help not feeling guilty about this situation. After having my son, I decided years ago to prioritize my quality of life above my ambition. I make decent money, albeit 20% less than my husband, and I use my spare time to exercise, go out with friends, share activities with my son, and so on. Before my husband and I moved in together, I had a lower standard of living than the one I have today, but I was satisfied with it. My husband and I made some financial decisions which he strongly pushed for that made us dependent on his income. He's clearly overworked and chooses to spend his free time doing home renovations, which we could pay for if he were less hurried and waited for us to have more savings. He also never goes out to see friends or does anything outside the house. I suggested therapy, alone and together. He refused. Am I the idiot for not feeling guilty? I also can't picture how a baby will make the situation better. Well, if he thinks the baby will ruin his life, wait until he finds out about diaper duty. But seriously, he needs a hobby or maybe just a nap. Not the idiot, but please do reach out repeatedly to root out this issue more. He's stressing about possibly more work with an infant on the way. It sounds like he's taking it out on you that he's unhappy with his own choices. You don't need to feel guilty for that, I agree. You should seriously consider if you want to raise the baby by yourself, even if you're still in a relationship with this man, because he clearly can't even take care of his own needs, much less yours or a baby. There's a chance he could change, but in my opinion and in my personal experience, that chance is low. In my opinion, from what you've shared, you're kind of an idiot. Maybe you didn't include it, but do you and your husband spend quality time together? From your list, it looks like you prioritize time for your son and you, but not him and not everyone as a family. Also, you could choose to downsize the home, not sure if that's possible as I don't know the size, to have less financial strain. Find out the root of the problem for your husband. I, female 37, live part-time on a small property due to my career. I'm very proud of my living space because it reflects my personality and my own evolution. I first came here thinking about developing a project for a company that I own. I had a nice degree and a title, but I didn't have a lot of stability. 6 years later, it's very nice and cozy, and I've made it my happy place. I literally collected things over time to make it livable and spent a chunk of my time making it look clean and welcoming. I got it because of the rent price, but it smelt like roaches and needed painting to make the walls look decent. I did hire some people and it wasn't too expensive, but I furnished it with nice rugs, wall art, and stuff that may seem corny but that I really like. So for background, it's a small studio apartment on the ground floor in a small building. I have a tiny backyard that I got permission to close off for privacy as long as it wasn't a permanent fixture. 6 months ago, my boyfriend's, Jason 43's sister, Nancy 42, got into a heated argument with their father and he unplugged her wedding. He was paying for many things, leaving her and her groom with a very small budget. She had a mental breakdown. She has mental health and emotional situations. I told her that she could count on me if they needed anything. A few months later, she told me that her cousin was refusing to host her wedding at her rural home and asked if she could hold a tiny wedding at my place. I wasn't 100% comfortable with the idea, but I thought it would be horrible to say no considering her situation. I asked my landlord, who gave me very detailed instructions. So no additional cars taking space would be allowed, and no loud music, microphones, etc. My place could hold, based on my existing seating, about 8 people inside and 10 to 12 people outside. I would hate random people sitting on my bed, so I kept it outside only and asked her to arrange for a porta potty or something, which her fiancé already had a version of because he does camping. People could wash their hands at my outdoor pipe and access my backyard via its side entrance. She seemed happy, but that changed very slowly. I have a weeds wildflower patch in my yard. It's not that big. I'm not saying that it's all pretty, but I adore it because it gives me a sense of nature, especially when it rains. That's my space where I read and relax, and I feel extremely safe. She requested to mow it down, and I refused. Granted, it will grow back, but I didn't want to. I said we could cover it with a lattice fence if she didn't like it, but she said that space cut about 5 or 6 additional seats. I refused and she went straight to Jason and he went straight up my butt asking about the matter, getting very irritated when I said it was non-negotiable. I understand it's her wedding and she's stressed out. 3 weeks ago, her fiancé asked me again and I said no. I overheard him saying, "Just hack the thing off or pretend that we were doing something and oops, the weeds are gone." Jason's mom was criticizing the weed patch and when I came back, she asked me what was so special about my houseplants and asked if they had medical properties. Without asking, she grabbed a handful and ripped them from the soil, squashing them with her hand, started sniffing them, and said they didn't smell like anything special. She also did the same with a rue plant in a pot, and I lost my patience and talked to her very sternly. I confronted her and asked if she had permission to destroy my stuff, and that if her curiosity came to destruction, then she needed to replace my rue plant. I also mentioned that I overheard what the fiancé said. They left voluntarily, but Jason came back, trying to fight. I told him to leave because he did nothing to help me protect my things. The more I thought about it, the more I hated the idea of helping with the wedding. I contacted my sister-in-law and explained that what happened affected my trust. She said, "It's just plants." So I replied, "Then it's just a wedding. Go get a courthouse wedding." Last night, Jason and I had a long talk. He told me again that his family is very important to him, that he's always helped them out, and that I threw his sister into a depression. I heard him out. I can't deny that a part of me feels sorry about what happened. I told him I was sorry, but the backyard incident showed me that his family didn't respect my boundaries and that I was going to take it as a warning, especially if they did something to get me in trouble with the landlord. I built this space, and while he may not understand it, this is very personal because this is where I went from feeling personally defeated and like a failure to developing a career that I'm proud of. And that I come here from work feeling that this is my sacred area and that his family acted like a group of people I don't want to be a part of. I told him that he could just talk to his sister and she could arrange for a courthouse wedding, and he said no, because she's his sister and she shouldn't have an insignificant wedding that would not be her ideal celebration. This hit close to home. When we were at a point where our relationship seemed to be going somewhere, we talked about marriage in very general terms. He said he preferred a courthouse wedding, and I respected that because I'm no longer a fan of huge weddings as opposed to the version of me in my 20s. So the fact that he called a courthouse wedding unimportant felt like a slap to my face and changed my views about how he sees our relationship. He said I misinterpreted, but if he thinks a courthouse wedding is unimportant, he never saw our relationship as serious enough. I broke up with him hours later because I was furious. His best friend, who's also a friend in common, reached out, saying that he respects my views but that what I did was a double humiliation. He forwarded me a voicemail from Jason and he honestly sounded defeated. I haven't responded because this is the end, at least on my side, but I still think I acted without filtering my words. Am I the idiot? Edit, our friend acknowledged that I feel very hurt, but said that what I did made things worse by ending the relationship. Let's recap. An idiot in Fantasyland wants things way outside her budget. Actions taken to expand budget, whining, maybe. You agree to host at some inconvenience to yourself. You also sound like you don't have a lot of money and are being very generous with what you have. They can't respect your plants or belongings. Then your thankfully ex-boyfriend let it slip that he lied to you and considers courthouse weddings to be inferior. Not good enough for his sister, but good enough for you. Does that cover it? Bye, Felicia covers the lot of them. Screw them all, there is so much drama and stress and they don't respect you or your space. Boyfriend and his crowd sent them all packing. Get back to enjoying your beautiful space. Not the idiot. OP, you're reasonable. They're all ridiculously entitled. My guess would be the same thing that happened with the cousin's rural place, a takeover and a bunch of entitled behaviour. The sister-in-law needs to start thinking about the common denominator to having issues with 3 different family members over the wedding. The boyfriend should have appreciated and protected your property and instead came at you dismissive of your feelings and looking for a fight. That would have been enough insight into the future for me. I think you dodged a bullet. Your boyfriend's family seems to have forgotten the adage about not looking a gift horse in the mouth.